Hello, and a warm welcome to our logo design for nonprofits webinar today. We're absolutely thrilled to have you join us. I'm Jess, I'm from Design School, and I'm presenting to you today from Canva Space in our Sydney office in Australia. I'm co-presenting today with Hadas.
Hello, everyone. I am Hadas. I am the Canva for Nonprofits Community Manager. Most of you probably know me already from the Facebook community. Super excited to be here with you and Jess. For those of you who are not acquainted with the nonprofit program Canva offers nonprofits, I'll just like to mention that as a nonprofit, you can apply for a free pro account, which unlocks a lot of premium, all of premium design tools. And you can also add up to 10 team members to your account. So I will add in the chat box a link to our application form in the landing page and also an invite to our Facebook community if you're not already a part of it. So that's it. I know that Jess has created an amazing logo webinar for you all. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy every minute of it. And Jess, the floor is yours. Have the best time.
Thank you. So we'll try to leave some time for questions at the end, but we also have that Q&A panel. If you want to ask questions during the session, Hadas is going to be monitoring that and trying to answer questions as we go. We also have that separate chat panel that I'm mainly going to use for giving you links to click on or copy and paste into your browser. And also feel free to respond to any questions that I ask you using that chat panel as well. So let's start with our first question. A few people have joined us since I asked this at the beginning of the session. I'd love to know where everybody is joining us from today. So if you feel like letting us know, could you pop your country in the chat, your country or city, so we can see where we're all coming from. So I'll type in there, I'm coming from Sydney. And Canada, Kathy's coming from Canada. Therese is coming from the USA. So we've definitely got a bit of a Northern Hemisphere vibe going on here. Great, so keep typing those in. So I think you all know what Canva is. Your Canva users, you'll know that it's a free tool that you can visit at canva.com, and it's a graphic design platform that makes it easy to design anything. Now today I'm going to be using the Pro product, which, as Hadas said, as a not-for-profit, you are entitled to access for free. So you'll find out a little bit more about that later if you don't already have your subscription to the Pro version. But Canva is more than just a product. We're also a company with a really ambitious mission to empower the whole world to design. And we're doing okay so far with over 35 million monthly active users, and that's doubling every year. But as our founder Melanie says, we're only 1% of the way there. Our vision is to have everyone, everywhere, achieve their goals through design. And one of our values within Canva is to set crazy big goals and make them happen. So we like the idea of sharing this value and helping everyone to achieve their goals, big and small, everywhere. We believe design is for everybody. So that's why we're here today, to help you on your design journey. So those of you that have just joined us, our session today is designed to be interactive. So please make sure that you've logged into your Canva account so that you can share some of the resources that I'll be giving you links to a bit later on. So in this session, we're going to give you the tools you need to design a logo. And we're going to explore the difference between a brand and a logo. And we're going to look at how to design a logo and how Canva's templates can kickstart your creativity. So let's talk brand first, because sometimes when you say brand, or sometimes when you say logo, people think that that's your brand, but really it's way more than that. Your brand is way more than that. So what do you think of when you hear the word brand? Feel free to pop some ideas in the chat. What does brand mean to you? Do you think of the colors of Google? Maybe the writing, the font, the script of Disney, or the bite out of the Apple symbol? These are all really famous brands that we know and love. But guess what? A brand is way more than a logo. A logo doesn't define your brand. Yeah, it helps people recognize your brand, but your logo is just one piece of your brand puzzle. Your logo is a visual simplification of your identity. So Teresa's saying brand is whatever customers say it is. Absolutely. And that's to do with the perception, the customer perception of your brand. So it's made up of your logo, the perception of your brand, your identity, and the customer experience, the quality of interactions with your business throughout the customer journey. So when I think brand, a really good example is David Bowie. So at his core, he has a personality and values that are inherent and that don't change over time. But over the decades, he's evolved with the times and the trends, and he's expressed himself outwardly in a lot of different ways. And this is a bit like brand. At its core, it should remain the same, but it should have enough flexibility to evolve over time. So maybe if you have a product that's been one that you can hold in your hand, over time, it might evolve to one that is perhaps voice only. So today we've made an interactive brand workbook for you to use, and I'll send you this link in the chat. So I'll just get you to copy and paste it, and you can open it in your own browser. And it's yours to keep after the session. And it's basically a guide and a template to help you hone all your ideas to make a really great logo that represents your brand. All right, let's get started. So if you copy and paste that link into your chat, when you open it up, it will look, oh, it's gone back, this one, like this. So you can scroll down and we'll start on page 3 here with your brand purpose. So try to summarize the purpose of your organization in one sentence. And I'll give you a minute to do that. So let's just have 1 minute. And I'd love to hear some of your brand purposes in the chat. If you want to pop those in there, we'd love to be inspired by some of your goals. Now, today, I'm going to imagine that I'm starting an eco company with a mission to plant millions of trees around the world. So that's how I'm going to use my workbook to fill it in. So if we look at what I've done for my workbook, just scroll back up to the top here. My purpose is to support biodiversity and to rewild the planet. So have a go at putting your brand purpose in that page of your workbook. All right, 10 seconds, and then we'll carry on. All right. Okay, so I hope you've done that. And moving on. We'll move on to your brand values. Let's try and define what those are if you haven't already. Your brand values will guide your culture by saying, this is how we do things around here. They should be memorable and they should be actionable. So these are Canva's 3 brand values. They are the North Star for everything that we create at Canva. We are human, we are inspiring, and we are empowering. So why does your brand exist and what values will guide it? Now, for not-for-profits, it's really important to be specific. So it's important to show how your nonprofit adds a unique element to an important cause. Find the 3 most accurate and powerful words that reflect your organization and pop those into your workbook. So for example, the one that I've filled in previously, I've said, we are sustainable, we are economical, and we are natural. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to pop those into your workbook. And again, feel free to add your thoughts into the chat. I love being inspired by all the great ideas that our community has. So I'd love to hear from you if you want to add those into the chat. Okay, we'll move on. Let's talk brand archetypes. So these archetypes are based on decades of research by Carl Jung, and they were made for people, but they've been adopted by branding as a tool to help you make brand decisions. So kind of speed up the decision-making process. So they represent our 12 primitive desires and unique personality types. So think about which of these archetypes you want to portray as a brand. Where do you fit best? So Canva, for example, is going to be coming into that blue section in providing structure for people to create, and then going into innovation in the creator category. Let's look at how some other brands fit on that spectrum. There's also Patagonia, who are the explorer archetype. So they're all about exploring the unknown. And Nike, they're all about elevating extreme human performance. So they're the hero archetype. So in your workbook, have a go at choosing your archetype. So if you go into your workbook on page 5, you'll see that you've got all the archetypes there. And you can just copy and paste the one that is the best fit for you and paste it in there on page 6. So with my eco organization with planting trees, I've gone that we are the caregiver, we're nurturing, we're unselfish, and our aim is to always pay it forward. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to finish off that one. And we'll move on. Now, let's think about your brand personality spectrum. So these are all the design decisions that are going to help us choose the right elements when we make a logo. So we've got a personality spectrum here for you to play with. Try and plot where your brand sits on a spectrum between playful and serious, or youthful and mature, or mass or elite. Where are you going to sit? So in your workbook again, we can pop over to page 7 and just try and identify where you sit on that spectrum. How do you want to appeal to your audience? So I'll just give you a couple of seconds to finish that off. And then we'll move on to talking about how we want to describe our brand in some logo keywords. So it's really good to try and distill your brand into 3 words. 1 physical, like strong or tall. 1 descriptive, sustainable, futuristic. And 1 emotional, how you want people to feel. Compassionate, nurturing. So have a go at popping your ideas onto page 8. And for my company, I've chosen the physical word as being fresh. Descriptive, I want us to come across as very friendly and approachable. And I want people to be inspired, to feel like they can help make a change. So emotional word is inspiring. Okay. All right, so let's talk about the actual business of designing a logo. Back to our workbook, can you pop in your brand name? So that should be fairly quick. You all know your brand name. The brand name for my business, I'm going to choose the name Leafy, which is going to represent all the trees that I want to plant. So just pop that in there.
I like that name. I wonder what names other nonprofits have. You can share them in the chat. It would be interesting to see.
If you're so interested, please go ahead and share them in the chat. If you're having problems with the chat at all, just feel free to pop them in the Q&A as well. We can see the comments in the Q&A. So let's talk about types of logos. There are 3 basic types of logos. We've got the word mark, like the eBay. We've got the symbol, like Apple. And we've got a combination of the 2, which we've shown as FedEx here. So a word mark is a font-based logo that focuses on the business name alone. So I think Visa, Coca-Cola, Google. And typography is a really important decision because you'll need a font that captures the essence of your business. So fashion labels, for example, might use clean, elegant fonts that suggest high end, whereas legal or government agencies would use traditional, heavier fonts that feel secure. So a word mark is a really good option if you're a new business and you need to get your name out there. Just make sure that the name is short enough to take advantage of this type of design. Symbols,
Well,
yeah.
I was just wondering, I just wanted to mention that we have two nonprofits that mentioned their names. We have Kim with Southwest Crisis Services. And we have Volunteer Alexandria, since they're located in Alexandria.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Teresa. And Katie, Oregon Physicians for Social Responsibility. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, you're breaking up. I'm breaking up. Am I breaking up? I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Good to go. All right. So we've got the word mark like eBay, and then we've got the Apple symbol. So an icon or a graphic based logo. They can be tricky if you're a new business. It's really effective if you have an established brand. It's not super hard and strict rule, but yeah, exactly, Teresa. I'm coming to that. Teresa's spotted something clever there. But if you think about Apple, they've slowly been able to move away from even having their name mentioned. They're so famous now that they can just use that logo, that graphic device, with no name at all. So that's really good if you're known quite well. But it also lends itself really well to a business name that maybe doesn't translate in a lot of languages. So it's useful to have a visual interpretation. Now, the combination mark is a really versatile choice with both the text and the icon together to reinforce your brand. And Teresa cleverly pointed out that there's actually a little visual trick in this logo. And so if you go for this kind of logo, it's really good, if you can, to find that clever visual idea. So the arrow that Teresa, the thing that Teresa is talking about is the arrow, which is here between the E and the X, which means, well, implies that FedEx is on the case, getting your parcel to you as fast as possible moving forward. So if you can get that little clever little visual hook, that makes a really great logo. So here's another example of a combination mark. You can have a graphic and a font together. So this is quite a traditional logo, and this is another example of a combination mark. So with combination mark, people also begin to associate your name with the symbol right away. And then in future, maybe you can do away with the name if you get known well enough. So I've got a little challenge for you now. In the chat, could you tell me 3 things, the first 3 things that just pop into your mind about what you remember about the logo that was just on the previous slide? Just 3 things. Can you remember anything about the shapes or the colors? See if anyone can remember anything about that logo, because you only saw it very quickly. Okay, so Teresa reckons green color, leaf simple, scalloped background. Good memory, Teresa, well done. So it's really interesting. Monica remembers that it's green, leaf. So Kathy's gone leaf, green, outside scalloped edge. Okay, cool. Excellent. Green, leaf, leafy word. Okay, good on you, Katie. Okay, so this is leading into a little bit of research about how the human brain remembers things, how it processes sensory information, because we can use these tools to our advantage. Our brains are hardwired to process distinctive shapes, then colors, then words. So we can think of that a bit like our visual toolbox, and we can use it to our advantage. So we can harness shape, color, and then font, and then a clever visual idea to design a logo that our audience will remember and connect with. So let's talk about shapes, first of all. When you're thinking about what shape suits your logo, there's a whole bunch that goes into deciding on the shape to use. And you might well be tempted to use a traditional circle or square at first thought, but don't be afraid of exploring some abstract shapes. So you'll all be familiar with the Nike swoosh. Logo shapes can be inspired by simplified imagery. In Greek mythology, Nike is the winged goddess of victory, and the logo is actually derived from the goddess's wing swoosh, which symbolizes the sound of speed, movement, power, and motivation. So you don't have to be literal, you can have abstract shapes. And this makes it a clever visual because it's unique. It's hinting to something, which is better than showing it because it creates more intrigue. Now, shapes also come with their own imbued associations. Triangles generally suggest excitement and growth, often used by travel companies. Movement. Circles indicate love and comfort and inclusion. So if you want to send a message of unity and compassion, then you could benefit from the emotional connections that circles create. Squares have that sense of stability and strength, and straight lines create a sense of tranquility and calm, while curvy lines can represent movement and change. So here you can see some examples of how those shapes have been leveraged by various brands. So we've got some triangular shapes for travel-related companies there, Qantas and Airbnb. And then some companies that really want to promote inclusivity, including Canva, because Canva is for everyone, and Target. So let's have a think about some shapes that might resonate with your brand. In your workbook, we can pop down to page 8. Now, I'm going to put a timer here, 1 minute, and you can drag in some shapes. So you can pop over here to elements. And I thought about my brand, and I'm going to plant a lot of trees. So I wanted a green color. I want it to be kind of global. So a circle, also inclusive, like everybody can come on board and get with this program. So I searched for circle and started to look at the different options that were coming up there. So anything that appeals to you, and then I might just go in here and choose things that are green, perhaps, apply those filters, and I'm getting some nice green circles here. These are quite nice. And then, of course, leaves, because my brand is leafy. So have a go at pulling in some shapes that resonate with you and just pop them into this panel here.
There's a great question by Corey that is asking about if you're wanting to create a logo in Canva and use some of the Canva elements, are you able to trademark the logo after using Canva's assets? As much as I know this is true, you can use this for your commercial uses, but if I'm not mistaken, you are not able to trademark the logo. If you create the logo from basic shapes and you build it from scratch, that's a different story. But if you're using elements that are already designed and are Canvas, then I suggest you check that before you try to register it as a trademark. So it depends what you used in your logo. I will be happy to post something about this in the Facebook community just to make things clear.
Excellent. That's great. Thank you for clearing that up, Hadas. That's really interesting. Okay, so Peter, you've asked, how do I open the workbook? Okay, so I just posted a link earlier. I'm going to pop that in the chat again. It's a bit.ly link. And what I want you to do is copy and paste that into your browser, and it will just open up for you. So I've just put that in the chat again. But welcome, Peter. There's no dumb questions. We're all starting at the beginning when we first log on. So, yeah. Okay. So now you've got some ideas of some shapes that might work for you. Let's go and have a look at color. I've got another little quiz for you. What brand do you think this is? Just from the colors. Does anyone know? In the chat, let's see who can get it first. All right, Katie, first up, you get the gold star. Well done. It is indeed Google. What about another one for you? This one. I can give you a clue. Who's going to jump on this one first? Oh, FedEx. Well done, Teresa. Yeah, it took me a while to get that one, actually. But yes, those are the FedEx colors. One more. What brand is this? Depends how much you use social media to get this one.
There was a hint there.
This, yes, well done, Teresa. All right, and Marketa, well done as well. Okay, so yeah, it is indeed Instagram. Well done. So, Well done, Kathy.
Can I jump in with something about the Google colors?
Yeah.
Some fun facts. Since the Google logo is supposed to symbolize that they are a little different, they're a little more unique than other companies, they decided that instead of having a crazy font or using a crazy symbol, they would rely on color. And so they chose the primary color palette, which is red, yellow, and blue, but they broke it with a secondary color, which is green, just to emphasize how different they are from everyone else.
Cool, interesting fact. So when you're choosing colors do come with cultural associations generally. Now, here are some examples of the associations that different colors have, but this is a very Western interpretation. So different cultures will have different associations for various colors. But for example, the McDonald's colors are red and yellow, and we're looking at the positive psychology qualities of red and yellow. Which is red triggers the stimulation, which is great for a food outlet, and yellow triggers the feelings of happiness. So that's why those combinations were used for that particular brand. Now, if you don't know the colors that you want to use for your brand yet, we have a really great tool that I love on our Canva site. And I'm going to put the link in the chat now. It's called Colors, and you can find it at canva.com/colors, and you'll see these different tools. Now, the one I want to use today is called the color wheel. So I'm going to put that link into your chat right now, and you can just click on that one and join me on the color wheel. So here is the color wheel, and I can move these circles around to pick a color that I like a starting color. I know that I wanted my brand to incorporate green, so I'm going to put one circle on green, and it gives me immediately the hex code for that color, which I can bring into Canva, so I get exactly that green. But really interestingly, it also gives me a complementary color that will work really well with exactly that shade of green, and it gives me the hex color for that color underneath as well. But if I go into this drop down, I can see that I can explore different color relationships. So monochromatic relationships, I really like analogous, where you can get these different tones of green. Triadic, so brighter colors that complement each other, and even moving into 4 here now. So I'm going to go with analogous, and you can copy these hex codes. So if you just click on them, and it says click to copy. So if you just click on them, it's going to copy. And then I can pop back into my workbook, and I'm going to scroll down to the page that is about colors. Here we are. So if I click on the gray square, I can pop over here to the gray color tile, and I can just choose any of these colors that appeal, or I can paste in that hex code up here. And now I've got exactly that green that I chose in the color wheel. So I'm going to click on that, and I can put that hex code in there for later reference as well. There we go. So have a go at doing that. I'm going to pop a timer on and give us 1 minute to explore that. So in your workbook, you can either just press the color tile and explore different colors just by clicking on a gray tile and just even going into new colors and finding a color that you like, or you can grab those hex codes from the color wheel and paste those. So I'm going to go grab that second color now just by clicking on that hex code, and I'm going to click on that color tile. I'm going to paste my hex code in here, and it's given me that lovely turquoise color. And I'm just going to paste that hex code underneath. So 10 more seconds, 7, 6. And don't worry if you don't finish, because this workbook is yours to keep. So you can finish it in your own time. We're just giving you the structure for how to develop this. And you can absolutely take this and build on it in your own time. So now we have done shapes and we've done colors. We're going to talk about, can anyone remember what the other one is? Fonts. Yes, fonts. Fonts, absolutely essential to get the right font, because I know which note I would rather get. Fonts matter. So I've got another little quiz for you. Can you tell who these businesses are from their fonts? And you've actually got another clue with the colors as well. So we've given you a bit of a hint. But in the chat, let's see who's first to get all 6 brands in the chat. I kind of feel like Teresa might be up there. She's been pretty fast so far. Maybe Kathy too. Let's see. Even if you can't get all 6, try and get as many as you can. And see. How quick were you to get these, Hadas? Did you pick them all? You did pick them all quite quickly. I remember, actually. You just read them all pretty fast.
Ooh,
oh,
we have one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Instagram, yes. Nike, yes. Adobe down there, yep. Airbnb, yep. Twitter, yep. And Spotify. Absolutely spot on. Round of applause to Marketa. Super fast off the mark. Well done. So let's explore some fonts that will work for you. In your workbook again, we're going to scroll down to the page on typography here. So what you can do is just highlight that text and pop up to the font menu up here. Now, when you open the font menu, I'm sure you'll be familiar with the fact that you actually get a little preview of the font styles from the menu directly. So you can click on something that appeals and see if that's the one that you want to use. And if not, keep experimenting. So I'll give you a minute or so just to explore some different fonts. If you already have a brand font, then by all means, just see if you can find it there and write the name of it underneath here. So you've got it as your primary font and you've got the name there.
There's a question here by Teresa. Is there an emotional or communication difference for serif and sans serif in a logo? That's a good question.
Well, I know that serif fonts were originally made for print because the little lines make it easier. It leads the eye along the font. So serif is really good for print. Whereas when we started to use serif fonts in a digital format on a computer, it's actually quite hard to read because those little dots are quite confusing to the eye. So sans serif generally works better for digital legibility. So that would be the main point that I would make about using different fonts. What about you, Hadas? Any other thoughts about the emotional connection?
No, I agree. I think that what you said is correct. Mm-hmm. And I also think it depends on what your message is, what your identity is. It's a whole complex of things. So you have to see how it works with what you want your brand to be. So sometimes it can be right, it can be wrong. I think it's very individual, but what you said, I agree with everything you said. By the way, as a pro user, you can also upload fonts to Canva. If you have a specific font that you cannot find on Canva, you can always upload one. And this is one of the pros of having a pro account.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so you can upload your brand fonts. That's a really good point. So let's now talk about your logo ideas, and let's look at some really good not-for-profit logos out there. So these are some of my favorite clever not-for-profit logo ideas. So the first one feeds two, is a combination logo. And like its name, the logo of this nonprofit points to exactly what the organization does. So just from this logo, you've got a really good idea what this organization is about. So it brings together food companies feeding charities and consumers to give nutritious meals to school children living in some of the poorest places in the world. With the 2 dots and the arrow creating a smiling face, the sentiment is also really positive and feel good, which is sometimes a rarity with nonprofits addressing hunger. So it's a really clever take on a logo. Then we've got the panda. So everyone knows this is the World Wildlife Fund, very famous. And this illustration speaks directly to the organization's mission to conserve wildlife. So obviously the panda is, not a super common animal. It is quite rare. So that's kind of communicated by having that particular animal as their logo. But because this logo also uses just 2 shades, white and black, it's really adaptive to different mediums. It's really scalable. So it's a clever choice from that point of view as well. Then we have the candle wrapped in barbed wire. So you'll probably know this is the Amnesty International, and this is a symbol logo. And this logo is inspired by the Chinese.
I think you need to switch screens. Yes.
So sorry, I was on the wrong screen. There you go. So yeah, this is the One Feeds 2 logo that we've got here. One Feeds 2, and then we've got the World Wildlife Fund, and then we've got Amnesty International that I was just talking about. So yeah, this logo is inspired by the Chinese proverb, which is, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness. So the wire is darkness and the candle is the hope that Amnesty International brings. So this is a really clever logo as well. And then one of my favorite wordmark logos is so simple. And that's a really important element of logo design, is keep it simple. Like if in doubt, take something out, keep it simple. And this is a very simple wordmark. And I think you can probably guess what their core business is by the shape of the H here. It's a non-profit organization that aims to end homelessness in the UK. Its logo uses the symbol of a simple house or shelter in the place of the letter H. And the prominence of red in the logo indicates determination, passion, and a bold call for help. And as I said, the reason it works so well is because it's so simple. So let's brainstorm some designs for your logo. So first of all, let's have a go at creating a word mark. So in your workbook, experiment with different fonts. So here I've had a go at using some different fonts for my business Leafy. And I've just experimented with, I also did some previous ones which were lowercase and uppercase, and I've decided that uppercase worked better. So feel free to use some fonts here and see which is your favorite. So I'll give you a minute or so to have a go and put a few options in your workbook.
We have a question that I actually typed an answer, but I would like to mention it if in case others have the same question. Is Canva able to identify a font? We have an old logo font that we would like to keep consistent, but we don't know how to find it in Canva. So unfortunately, you can't do that yet in Canva, but there are other sites that you can do that. There is one called with the font. I think the URL would be myfonts.com. So you can do that there and then maybe find something similar and just search it in Canva with a search box.
Awesome. That's a really useful tool, yeah, to be able to identify fonts.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully you've got a few interesting options for a wordmark style logo. Let's now try a symbol-based logo. So experiment with shapes and experiment with abstract shapes. So maybe if there are, like my logo has leafy in the name, can I do something abstract with leaves? So see if you can find some interesting shapes that could represent your brand and your goals. So here's where I had a bit of a go at that. Okay, I was thinking maybe something with trees. I quite like that abstract tree logo. It is a global mission, so I had a planet in there, and also that's the circular sense of inclusivity, and then some actual leaves. So those are some shapes that could work with my logo. So I'll give you a couple more seconds to have a go at that. And then we'll start to brainstorm how you might do a combination mark and trying to come up with that really clever idea. So we'll look at some logos that have done that really well. So I'm going to move on to combination marks. So here are 3 examples of really clever combination marks because they've used the font, but they've got that clever graphic idea in there as well. So we talked about FedEx before and how it's got that clever arrow between the E and the X. Families is has very cleverly used the eyes there as well to represent the sense of family. And Amazon has 2 graphic elements going on here. We've got the sense that it's taking you from A to Z, like the store has everything that you could possibly need from A to Z, but also the smile. So it's taking you from A to Z, but it's also got that feel-good element. So it's got that smile associated with it as well. So have a go in your workbook, seeing if you can come up with some clever graphic ideas and combine both your word mark and your symbol. So here's how I had a go at those. I explored some more leaf options. I'm going for that circular interpretation of inclusivity using the globe. I felt like the globe was maybe a little bit too busy, so I've just made it a plain green background. And started to work out, maybe I could use some curved text for my font. So again, just grabbing in those elements and placing them into your workbook for a bit of a brainstorm. Remember, there's no right or wrong here at the moment. It's just experimenting and getting those ideas out onto the paper or the workbook as it may be. All right, just a couple more seconds and we'll move on. And we'll talk a little bit about using templates in Canva. So you've got your ideas, and if you want a little bit more help translating those ideas into a really great graphic logo, you can make use of some of the templates that we have available in Canva. So we're going to do a little demo now of choosing some Canva templates. So you can do a search for a logo doc type and then search through the many different options and find one that appeals to you. So we've got the kind of green color one here that I like the color combination of, the kind of light cream and the dusty green. And then I want to have that circle, but I'm going to make the circle a little bit more visually interesting and use a metal type shape. Just dragging in a frame there to get that metal shape, which I found in the frame, and coloring it green and centering that and then locking it down so that I can play with other elements around it without it moving. Typing in my name and then using the font that I chose earlier. Making the letters a little, adjusting the kerning, a little easier to read, and making sure then that the colors are matching. So just going for 2 colors in this logo, and then trying to bring in that leaf element. And finding the one that appealed to me. And just making sure again that those colors are working with the palette. And there we go. So that's how you can choose a template in Canva, and then you can customize it according to your needs, but you've been given a bit of a head start, and then you can download that design. So that's being downloaded with a transparent background so that I can use it in lots of different applications. So let me know if you've got any questions about that.
I'll just mention downloading a PNG with a transparent background is also a pro feature.
Oh yeah, very good. So one that you should all have access to with your access. Okay, design tips. It's a few tips to take away with you. So try to avoid cliches as much as possible. Generally in life, we want to avoid cliches, and try not to give into the cliches of your industry. So I learned when designing that often the first ideas that come out of your head are not going to necessarily be the best ones, but they're really important to get out of your head, because they're often, not always, but often going to be the ideas that other people think of first as well. And then the next ideas that come after that will be the really good ones. So for example, you're a dentist. Does that mean that your logo needs to have a tooth in it? No, it doesn't. It does not have to have a tooth in it. So try and avoid those cliches as much as possible. Also, don't try and follow design trends, because otherwise in 10 years, your logo is going to look really dated. So your logo should look good today and 10 years from today. So don't follow today's top design trends when creating your logo. Stick with simple, classic ideas that tie back to your brand's message and will be understandable forever. Simplicity. We come back to simplicity. Keep your logo design simple. Logos shouldn't be complicated. Your logo should convey your brand's message in milliseconds. It can't do that if there are too many bells and whistles in the design. So then make sure, and the simplicity ties into this, that your logo is scalable. So if it has lots of fine detail, if you're then putting that logo on a pen, it's going to be impossible to read. So make sure that your logo is really easily scalable. They must be able to size up and down from billboards to business cards. So it's difficult to see details when it's scaled down, but this is probably when your logo will be used the most. So test your logo at different sizes, and if it isn't understandable, delete necessary details. So we've got a little practice page in your workbook to test if your logo is scalable. So I'm just going to pop over to my workbook. So choose your favorite design, pop onto page 18 here, and select your logo shortlist. So you can put your favorite design in first position, and then you can put some other options that you're thinking about here. And then when you've got your favorite design, just group all the elements so that you can move it as one, and then evaluate it by bringing it to this page and resizing it to fit on all these different assets. So you can zoom right in and get it tiny to fit on that pen. And this is quite a simple logo, so it's working pretty well on that pen. You can't really read the text so well, but the graphic is coming across well. That's what it might look like on a business card. And it looks pretty good on a t-shirt, even if I do say so myself. So have a go at scaling your logo. I'm going to give you a minute to work on that. So have we got any other questions coming up in the chat while we have a minute or so to work on that?
Yeah, we have a question about the Apple logo. How is it possible that Apple has nothing to do with electronics, but it works? You cannot tell just from looking at it what the business is about.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Yeah, well, the Apple logo has a bite out of it, and it's the bite that relates to technology, like a bite of information. So that was kind of the thinking behind there. But you're right. It doesn't necessarily convey technology now when you just look at the logo, but it's so well known that they can get away with that now. But initially it did have that technological connection.
Yeah. We also have a question in the chat. Corey's asking, as you showed the Canva logo, use the scripty animation to write out the word. What software did they use to design that? Well, I'm not sure. But what you can do with Canva is you can animate, use the animation to have your text enter or fade or things like that. You cannot still do this in Canva, but who knows?
Maybe one day. Yeah, you can certainly add animations, but yeah, that's more moving things around really. So, but animations feature is really useful. I love animating things in Canva.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on. We're going to look at some ways to assess your design. So when you have created your logo, it's absolutely essential to get some feedback on it, as it is with all works of design. So you can self-assess, first of all, by asking these 3 questions. Does it support your brand objectives? Can you tell what it is in 2 seconds? So that's a really good question to ask someone else. Show them your logo and say, okay, tell me what this business does. And if they can't do it in 2 seconds, maybe you need a little bit of a rework. And does it differentiate from similar organizations to yours? So really, does it set you apart? So ask yourself those 3 questions to give yourself a bit of a self-assessment. So those are in the workbook there. You can take those away with you. Okay. And then we've got a few resources to talk through with you. We've got some amazing resources available on the Canva website. So you've already seen the colors, the color wheel that I showed you. So that's available at canva.com/colors. But beyond that, we have the Canva for Not-Profits, which is going to be a really, really useful page for you. And this is where you sign up for your not-for-profit subscription if you don't already have one. So Hadassah, do you want to say anything more about that page before we move on?
Sorry, I was just answering the Q&A.
Yeah.
Well, yes, as I mentioned at the beginning, you can apply for a Canva for a pro account if you're a nonprofit. It's quite an easy procedure. There is a form that you have to fill in, and an answer should be within 7 to 10 working days. And I will link this page in the chat. I will put it right now. And if you haven't applied yet, then you're welcome to do so.
There we go. So there's the page there. So you've got some powerful marketing tools, over 420,000 templates, 75 million plus images, 3,000 fonts. It's all you need for some eye-catching design. So yeah, well worth signing up for your free access to that. So right down the bottom here is where you can apply. What are you looking for, Angeliki? Is it the
link to the nonprofit landing page? I just posted it again in the chat.
Superstar, thank you. Okay, so another page we wanted to show you was the business resources page, because there are some useful kits on this one. So here is the business resources page. And there are a few marketing toolkits here, which might be really useful for you. So it's got a whole kind of brand kit here for you to start working with colors and fonts and layouts. So here's a great way to get inspired as well. Okay, so in this part of the page, you've got business and marketing templates. If you want to create a mobile website or presentation, Instagram story, lots of ideas there for you to work with. Okay, and of course, we want to tell you about Design School. So Design School is the home of so much educational content. If you want to upskill your Canva skills, please check out designschool.canva.com, and you'll find a whole bunch of courses on there that you can take in your own time. A lot of them have interactive elements as well, so you get that hands-on practice. And there's loads of resources, and there's more being added all the time. So please do check out designschool.canva.com. Okay, you have all worked very hard today. Well done getting through your workbooks. I hope that you have had a lot of ideas become a little bit clearer for you today and got some direction on creating your very own logo. So you can use those ideas that you've got together in your workbook to start to generate a really powerful and impactful and simple logo. So we've got some time for some Q&A. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat now. Hadas has been doing a brilliant job of answering them as we go through the session. But if there's anything you haven't asked that you've been waiting to, please pop them in the chat now. As mentioned, this session has been recorded, so we're going to share the link with everyone that registered. So watch out for that coming as well. And please feel free to share it with your colleagues and friends. Okay, we've got some questions coming through. So Hadas, did you want to answer the one from Corey?
Yeah, I just lost you for a minute. Yeah, we have two questions. Is the PNG like a vector, or would it be better to use an SVG? So a PNG is not like a vector. If you want to say to download your design as a vector, you should always choose SVG, which is also a pro file type that you have with a pro account. So absolutely not PNG. No, a vector would be only SVG. And wait, there's another question in the chat. Oh, thank you very much. Greetings from the Czech Republic. Oh, that's nice.
Okay.
And we have another question. How did we both get involved with Canva? Well, I can answer on my behalf. I fell in love with Canva and I got addicted to Canva. So that's a good start. So from there, it's just a love story. And that's how I got involved with Canva.
Yeah, absolutely. A similar story for me. I've worked in community education for a long time and completely fell in love with Canva and made everything all my resources in Canva, and was always, I'm here in Sydney where the head office of Canva is, was always keeping an eye out for community education programs. And when this one started, I jumped right on board straight away because I'm passionate about Canva and education, and it was a happy fit. So yeah, I absolutely love empowering everyone with such a great, easy to use and fun product like Canva, and also Canva's mission to empower everyone to design. So yeah, very happy to be working here. Thank you, Corey, for your question. Oh, oh yeah, I'm started using Canva a few weeks ago, hooked already. Yeah, not surprised. Thank you, Monica. Thanks for your lovely comments. It's lovely to have you all join us today. Corey's made a playbook about Canva for education. Fantastic.
Oh, that's nice.
Canva every day. It is so great. Yeah, well, we definitely agree with you there, Corey. Absolutely. So we're also going to be hosting loads of webinars. We're building up our webinar program and our Canvas Space program. So please keep an eye out on Eventbrite, and also our new Canvas Space website coming up very soon, and the Design School website. The events are going to be listed on there as well. Lots more educational and interactive live webinars coming your way. So please stay tuned and come and join us for future sessions. Any more questions that we want to go through there?
We have a question from Evelyn. For working with print shops that complain about Canva graphics, it happens. Do you recommend exporting as an SVG file at the largest size, having them open it in Adobe Illustrator, then saving as needed, EPS, etc.? Well, as far as I know, it really depends on the print shop you're working with. They all have different, it depends on the machines they have, the printers they have. For example, I print everything in a printer shop, and they ask for a PDF file, and that's what I do, and everything comes out perfect. I never had a complaint, but it depends. If you're asked, it's always best to ask your print shop, what would you like the file type to be? And so if they ask for SVG, you have no problem with the Pro account. It's simple as that. You just click on that and download. So I guess it would either be PDF for print or SVG, depending on what the graphic is and how they're going to print it. I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thanks, Hadas. Okay, any unanswered questions there? You've been working through them so well. Here we go. There's another one from Peter.
If you have the Pro version, it shouldn't ask you to try the Pro version. If it does, what might have happened is that you signed in with your personal account, and you should sign in with your team that was given to you when you were when you were given the Nonprofits Pro account. So just go to your account settings and open the tab and look at what is marked with a check mark. Is it your personal account or your team? And then that could be the reason that you're asked to upgrade. So just play around with that, and that usually solves the problem.
Awesome. Thank you. Corey, thank you for hosting. I've always had positive experiences with your company. Thank you, Corey. We're so happy to hear that. Thank you for joining us today. Okay. Any more questions?
No, we have thank yous in the chat.
Yep.
And I think we've answered them all.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone for chatting to us in the chat. Thanks, Kim. Thanks, Peter. It's really lovely to hear from you. Like, I love it when people write in the chat and we get to hear a little bit from our community around the world. So thank you for being interactive and taking part, and I really hope to see you in a future session. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We'll wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jess.
Thank you, Hadas. See you again soon.
My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.